Chapter 233, Last Glimmer of Light. At night, Jiang Hao checked his surroundings and began cultivating. After more than a year of accumulation, he was finally able to advance. If everything went smoothly, he would be able to reach the middle stage of the primordial spirit realm. He would temporarily surpass Lu Xingqian. However, he needed to be wary of Bai Yi. In the past 2 days, he had assessed his own situation and tested all kinds of powers. There were no issues at all. Unfortunately, Hong Yuye hadn't visited for 7 months. Otherwise, Jiang Hao could have had some security. He emptied his mind of all thoughts and began to advance. His spiritual energy surged within his body. The Hong Ming Heart Sutra circulated and nourished his body. It allowed his spiritual energy to flow through his meridians and ultimately feed his primordial spirit realm. There was some tingling sensation during the breakthrough, but it was a normal phenomenon. After enduring for a moment, Jiang Hao felt as if a great door had blasted open, and a new power began to condense. I've reached the middle stage of the primordial spirit realm. It had happened sooner than he expected. His primordial spirit realm capabilities had helped him advance easily. Frequently collecting bubbles and possessing primordial spirit divine abilities made his situation far superior to others of the same level. Lu Xingqian's advancement was also fast. Perhaps it was because he devoured the souls of those who possessed him. He might also possess divine abilities. Jiang Hao didn't know much about his abilities, so it was difficult to speculate. He closed his eyes again and planned to use the remaining points to refine his cultivation. The next morning, Jiang Hao activated the reappearance of the hidden spirit ability. Once his cultivation recovered, he stored the stacks on his wrist guards. He also took out the half-moon blade to refine it. He didn't go to the spirit herb garden the entire day. He only got up and headed there near dusk to collect some bubbles and check on the spirit herbs. After returning to his courtyard, he used the Heaven Secret's hidden talisman. It concealed his aura. As expected, there were people spying on him in secret. Judging from their aura, their cultivation shouldn't be that powerful. However, he didn't probe because he didn't want them to sense him. It seemed that they all had treasures to conceal their presence. After a long time, the spies disappeared. After informing the spirit beast that he would go to the spirit herb garden tomorrow, he went into the house. He sensed the aura of Xiao Li subring and then sat cross-legged on the floor. At this moment, he was still nurturing the half-moon blade. Late at night, he disappeared from the spot. Wuxia River. Wuxia Village. The moon shone brightly in the sky, and a silver veil descended from above, enveloping the small, peaceful village. Occasionally, a dog's bark could be heard from a distance. Mostly, there were sounds of crickets chirping at night. In a corner of the village, a small courtyard was still illuminated. "Mother, I'm going to sleep. Tomorrow, I'll go to the river to catch fish with father for you," said a girl's voice. "All right, go to sleep. You won't be able to wake up tomorrow if you sleep late. Tell me the story about the sea god," said the girl's voice after a while. "Okay." After a while, the story ended. The girl didn't respond. She must have fallen asleep. At this moment, a figure appeared in the courtyard. His appearance didn't alarm anyone. "Is this the place?" Jiang Hao glanced at the courtyard and turned away. He had no intention of disturbing the people living there. He walked out of the courtyard and saw Ching Chou. He was digging underneath a tree. Jiang Hao didn't disturb him. After some time, Jiang Hao walked to the farthest part of the mountain and sat cross-legged under a tree. He attracted danger, so he wanted to see if the Heaven Secret's hidden talisman really worked to hide him from other people's eyes. If he failed, someone would probably notice him. There was a chance he could escape their attacks if he moved fast enough. He was fully prepared. He would kill anyone who attacked him. If the enemy was stronger than him, he would stall for time and teleport to his house in the sect. This way he wouldn't have to involve Xiao Li and the others. Until dawn, Jiang Hao didn't sense any danger. He was safe for now. When he was heading toward the village, he saw an elderly man with a bamboo basket coming out of Xiao Li's house. The old man had a slightly bent back, dark skin, and a face full of wrinkles. Jiang Hao frowned. After a second of thought, he walked toward him. His footsteps attracted the old man's attention. "Young man, are you looking for directions? Are you lost?" asked the old man with concern. Jiang Hao shook his head. "Just passing by. I wanted to take a stroll through this area. What are you here for?" "I'm going to dig for some bamboo shoots," the old man said. "Please let me accompany you," said Jiang Hao. The old man nodded. The young man looked formidable and was polite. If he were here to attack him, then he wouldn't be able to escape anyway. All right. Then the two of them walked toward the mountains. Are you feeling all right? Asked Jiang Hao. Why do you want to go so far for bamboo shoots? What about your family? The old man chuckled. I've been bedridden for half a month. My daughter keeps saying that the bamboo shoots I pick taste good. Today I feel much better. I thought I would search for some bamboo shoots in the mountains. It seems you really love your daughter. She's mischievous, but she's really well behaved, said the old man proudly. What about your other children? Jiang Hao asked. The old man shook his head helplessly. Who knows? Maybe they don't want to take care of us anymore, or maybe they are already dead. The old man stopped in front of a bamboo grove and was about to start digging. I'll do it. I've never done this before, but I've always wanted to try, Jiang Hao said. He smiled and took the hoe from the old man's hands. But it's inconvenient for you, young man, said the old man. That's all right. I don't mind. Do you have any regrets in your life? Asked Jiang Hao as he dug the soil. Of course. The old man laughed. Who lives without regrets? I feel like I've spent most of my life either regretting or feeling remorse. Life has been tough, hasn't it? Jiang Hao glanced at the calluses on the old man's hands. The old man leaned against the bamboo and chuckled. Can't be helped. Everyone lives a life full of struggles. I'm curious about the lives of rich people in the city. I wonder what kind of hoe they use for farming. Golden ones? Liang Hao said. The old man laughed heartily. The rich folks don't farm. They make others do it for them. Jiang Hao smiled and then dug out a bamboo shoot. Please dig out one more. I'm going to save it for my daughter. Jiang Hao took the bamboo basket. Of course. I have plenty of time. As he watched the old man's vitality seemingly burning its last flame, Jiang Hao couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 234, True Dragon. Are these enough? Jiang Hao asked as he dug out the third bamboo shoot. That's more than enough. Thank you, young man. With that, Jiang Hao put away his tools, slung the bamboo basket on his back and walked forward. After walking for a while, the old man was panting. Let's rest for a while, Jiang Hao said as he stopped by the rocks near a stream. I'm old now. Can't walk as much. The old man sat down on one of the rocks. Jiang Hao also sat down beside him. The air was rife with the sound of a gurgling stream and birds chirping. Young man, it seems you rarely venture to the mountains. Am I right? Said the old man. That's correct. I didn't have time to experience something like this before. The two of them got up and started walking toward the village. Have you ever thought of finding out about your children? Jiang Hao asked. No. The old man smiled sadly. I don't think they want us around. That's fine with me. I still have a daughter. It's enough. Jiang Hao nodded. He heard someone rushing toward them. It was Ching Chou. He was running in their direction. Presumably he was looking for the old man. Ching Chou reached them and heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the old man. The old man seemed somewhat embarrassed. I've troubled you. Ching Chou shook his head and let him know that it was all right. Then he noticed Jiang Hao beside the old man. Senior brother Jiang. The old man looked shocked. He extended his trembling hand to take the bamboo basket off of Jiang Hao's shoulders. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have made you dig the shoots and carry them. Jiang Hao grabbed the old man's hand gently. It's all right. I don't mind. He then turned to Ching Chou. Junior brother Ching, you can go back. We'll catch up. Ching Chou nodded and went back. I didn't know it was you, elder, the old man said and lowered his head. Jiang Hao smiled. That's all right. And you can continue calling me young man. I prefer that. You are different, said the old man as he glanced at Tian Hao. The rich folks in the city act high and mighty. But you don't put on such an attitude, young man. Jiang Hao laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. Jiang Hao knew better than anyone how cultivators treated ordinary non-cultivators. He didn't feel that way. He understood that regardless of whether you were a cultivator or a non-cultivator, everyone was equal. Besides, he always felt calm around anyone he met. After a long while, Jiang Hao and the old man arrived at Xiao Li's home again. At this time, an old woman leaning on a cane stood at the gate of the courtyard. When Jiang Hao approached, she was about to kneel to pay respects. But before she could do that, a gust of wind lifted her up. What are you doing? Jiang Hao asked. The old woman was hunched over, her eyes squinting from habit because she couldn't see clearly. Her hands had several liver spots. Paying my respects to you, she said. There is no need for that, said Jiang Hao. The old woman was astonished. Upon entering, Jiang Hao searched the ground in the courtyard and retrieved the ring. He entered Xiao Li's house and sat down on a chair. Xiao Li's old parents were at a loss. Just as Jiang Hao was about to speak, the old woman suddenly remembered something and hurried to the kitchen. She brought out some pastries and tea. You should sit down too, Jiang Hao said. Only then did the two of them sit down, but they seemed uneasy. Xiao Li went to catch fish. She won't be gone for long. She has no trouble catching fish, but she likes to play in the water and take her time, said the old woman. Jiang Hao asked about their names. The old man's name was Miao Shi, and the old woman's name was Miao Xiang. They had lived their entire lives in the village and never traveled far from here. The farthest they had ever been was the nearby town. Their son left home for the city at the age of 19, and their daughter got married at the age of 16 and moved to the city as well. They used to visit once every 3 or 5 years. But it had been several years since they had visited. We found Xiao Li many years ago. She has brought us unimaginable comfort, said Miao Xiang. We wanted to watch her grow up, but it seems that would be impossible. Jiang Hao saw the wall where marks had been drawn to measure Xiao Li's height. She will grow up. Jiang Hao looked at the two elderly people in front of him. She is just a bit slow, but she is strong. The two elders glanced at each other. They looked hesitant. At that moment, Jiang Hao suddenly felt a fluctuation of spiritual energy. It was coming from upstream. Although faint, it was somewhat strange. Where does Xiao Li go to catch fish? He suddenly asked. She often goes upstream. She says the fish there are larger and more delicious, Miao Shi said. I'll go take a look. Jiang Hao disappeared. He vanished like dust in the wind. The old couple looked at each other. They were stunned. Upstream at the Huangsha River, there was a loud boom. Xiao Li emerged from the water with a big fish in her hands. Behind her, the river surged and a huge creature emerged from the water. It was a black dragon. It looked at Xiao Li with eyes filled with fear and excitement. Why did you steal my fish? Xiao Li glared at the dragon. In front of the dragon, she was nothing but a tiny ant, but she showed no fear at all. A true dragon? Said the dragon as it looked at Xiao Li in bewilderment. What kind of true dragon are you? Why does your blood carry such pure energy? I have been observing you in fear for 7 days. You are still weak. Once I devour you, I will be the true dragon. I caught this fish for my parents. If you try to steal it again, I won't let you off so easily, said Xiao Li. The dragon laughed and looked up at the sky. You are truly stupid. Even the heavens are helping me. The dragon's body surged and it pounced at Xiao Li. This place will be where I transform into a true dragon. It appeared in front of Xiao Li, ready to devour her. Xiao Li showed no signs of fear, but she was suppressed by the overwhelming power and couldn't move at all. Just as the dragon was about to devour Xiao Li, a golden ring appeared in front of her. Clang! A golden light flashed. The dragon crashed onto the ground and was forced to retreat. Who is it? Asked the dragon as it looked around. Before it could speak further, a silver light flashed and a blade pierced its neck. The dragon roared in pain. It rolled over and Jiang Hao withdrew his saber. At this moment he stood in midair, raising the half-moon blade. Purple energy surrounded the place. He used the first form of the heavenly blade, moon-slaying. Chapter 235, appearing mysterious in the next gathering. The sudden attack startled and enraged the dragon. With a furious roar, it was about to attack the humans nearby. It couldn't believe that a mere primordial spirit realm cultivator dared to be so audacious. His cultivation wasn't enough to even destroy its scales. In an instant its power surged. The dragon roared. It began its counterattack. However, it felt the force of a mountain suppressing its spirit. Jiang Hao had used his divine might ability. The dragon snorted coldly. How dare such a weak human show off his might to a dragon? The dragon's soul trembled and broke free from everything. Moonlight flashed and a blade slashed down. Boom! The saber collided with the dragon's scales. Crack! To the dragon's astonishment, its scales shattered, and the blade pierced its body. But the blade didn't stop there. With a formidable downward slash, it aimed to cleave the dragon in two. A purple aura surged and destroyed everything. The dragon tasted death. It didn't hesitate. It separated its dragon soul from its body. Jiang Hao raised his blade again, and the mountain suppression technique appeared on his wrist, ready to use. He intended to kill the dragon. However, before the blade could descend, something escaped from the dragon's body. It was the dragon's soul. Jiang Hao changed his direction and slashed at the dragon's soul instead. Clang. A light curtain protected the dragon's soul. Something tried to strike Jiang Hao from behind. It was the dragon trying to restrain his mountain suppression technique. Jiang Hao ignored the attack from behind, gripped his blade tightly and struck down. Boom. The light curtain shattered, and the mountain suppression fell on the dragon's soul. It was severely injured. The attack from behind reached Jiang Hao, but his 9 heavenly battle armor protected him. With a bang, a powerful force penetrated the armor and struck his back. Fortunately, the impact wasn't that great. Jiang Hao reached out a hand toward the escaping dragon's soul and activated his universe in a palm technique. A purple aura surged and trapped the escaping dragon's soul. Jiang Hao floated midair, and the purple sphere floated on his palm. Inside was the remnant of the dragon's soul. Meanwhile, its body fell heavily on the water's surface. Jiang Hao used the same technique to seal the dragon's body too. Human, what kind of magical technique is that? The remnant of the dragon's soul was a little afraid. Jiang Hao put away his blade. He held the remnant of the dragon's soul in his left hand and the sealed dragon's body in his right. He then activated daily appraisal on the remnant of the dragon's soul. The appraisal results surprised Jiang Hao. He had a feeling that he had heard about this dragon before. He remembered that Gui had been complaining about a dragon. She kept saying the dragon had repeatedly escaped her. Its strength was reduced to 1/10. If it was at its full strength, it would have far surpassed Jiang Hao. It was no wonder it kept running away from Gui. The people in the stone tablet were not ordinary. It seems Xiao Li's presence attracted the dragon. He looked at the remnant of the dragon's soul. Who is chasing after you? What are you talking about? The remnant of the dragon's soul pretended to be confused. Cursed and hunted by an enemy? You've had to use your talent to hide many times, right? Do you now understand what I'm talking about? The dragon's soul looked shocked. It couldn't understand how Jiang Hao knew all this. I don't know who she is. I just accidentally provoked her. She started chasing me. At that time she was in a secret realm. She must have thought I saw something important, so she pursued me, the dragon's soul said angrily. If it weren't for her, I would have transformed into a true dragon. Is that so? Jiang Hao sighed as he looked at the dragon's soul. Is there anything else you want to say? I can take you to that place and pledge my allegiance to you. I have the potential to transform into a true dragon. I can do many things for you, the dragon's soul said hurriedly. Very well, Jiang Hao said. As the dragon's soul rejoiced, the half-moon blade appeared in Jiang Hao's hand. He swung it towards the dragon's soul. Jiang Hao squeezed the energy sphere, turning everything to dust. I'm sorry. You are far too powerful. I don't think I will be able to control you, so I had to destroy you. With the dragon's soul gone, only the dragon's body remained. According to Gui, the dragon had swallowed something valuable. There must be a precious treasure inside the dragon's body. This was also the reason why Jiang Hao decided to kill the dragon. What it said didn't match what Gui had told him. He decided to believe Gui, not because he trusted her, but because she didn't pose him any danger for now. After hesitating for a moment, Jiang Hao strengthened the seal and threw the dragon's body into the river. It sank straight into the riverbed. That should do it. He didn't dare touch anything inside because he didn't know if it would attract unwanted attention. It was better to just give up. Jiang Hao returned to the shore. Xiaoli was still clutching the big fish in her hands. When she saw Jiang Hao approach, she exclaimed, "Senior brother Jiang." Xiaoli was surprised to see that Jiang Hao didn't care about the dragon at all. "Let's go," she said. "All right." Jiang Hao nodded. "I just caught a fish. You can eat it later." Xiaoli smiled. "My mother and father have been asking about you a lot lately. They seemed hopeful that you would come for a visit. Senior brother Cheng said you were on your way. I didn't believe him, but it seems it was true." Jiang Hao nodded. "What about the beast? Why didn't the beast come with you?" Xiaoli looked around. "It's guarding the house," Jiang Hao said. "Oh," she happily led the way ahead with spring in her steps. On the way, Jiang Hao took out the stone tablet and observed it. He realized that Gui was still looking for him. It seemed that the location of the dragon was about to be discovered. Jiang Hao smiled faintly and put away the stone tablet. He didn't plan to inform her of the situation just yet. He wasn't in a hurry. He would casually mention it during their next meeting. That way he could still maintain his mysterious facade and wouldn't have to reveal anything. In this way he could firmly establish his position at the gathering. The undercover mission could then proceed smoothly. "Mother, father, I'm back. Look who I brought with me." As soon as they entered the courtyard, Xiaoli shouted toward the house in excitement. She was extremely happy. Jiang Hao sighed as he watched her jump for joy. Xiaoli seemed unaware that something was wrong. She was completely clueless that her frequent visits might soon come to an end. Her parents didn't have much time left. Chapter 236. A Thin Line Between Life and Death. At noon, Jiang Hao and Qing Chou helped start the fire. Miao Xiang began cooking. The fish that Xiaoli had caught was the main dish being cooked. Xiaoli talked a lot. Miao Xiang was busy cooking, and she occasionally responded to Xiaoli's constant chatter. Xiaoli didn't mind. She helped with cutting the fish. Once she was finished, she picked up the bowl and went to show it to her mother. Her mother praised her, which made Xiaoli laugh in happiness. The quiet courtyard was lively in Xiaoli's presence. It seemed she was the source of life and vitality in this desolate place. Without Xiaoli, the two old people's lives would have been lonely. Perhaps it would have been too quiet for them to look forward to their deaths. With Xiaoli it was different. They were still moving toward the end of their lives, but they were at least happy. Jiang Hao saw Miao Shi sitting upright in a chair, watching Xiaoli bustling around. He looked pale and sickly. After a while, the table was filled with various kinds of dishes. Miao Xiang had cooked everything with Qing Chou and Xiaoli's help. Jiang Hao was offered a chair and he gratefully accepted it. The others sat down too and began to serve the meal. There were fish dishes, cooked bamboo shoots, and chicken. Jiang Hao picked up his chopsticks and took a bite of the fish. He then tasted the chicken and the bamboo shoots. "This is delicious." He smiled. Miao Xiang laughed. Miao Shi also smiled and put some dishes in his bowl. Xiaoli picked up the tender meat, steamed vegetables and placed them in her parents' bowls. "Eat this." The two elders nodded and smiled. Qing Chou felt a bit awkward at first. However, when he saw everyone enjoying the meal, he dug in too. Jiang Hao glanced at them occasionally while eating his food. After finishing a bowl of rice, he asked for another one. Xiaoli excitedly ran to get it for him. Xiaoli was happy and so were the two old people. After the meal, Jiang Hao watched as Xiaoli split firewood for her parents and fed the chickens and ducks. Jiang Hao felt a bit sentimental. In the evening they had dinner. There were fish and bamboo shoots. Miao Xiang had made pastries too. At night, Miao Shi sat beside Jiang Hao while Miao Xiang put Xiaoli to sleep. "Tell me the story of the sea god," said Xiaoli from inside the room. "Again? Okay. Then tomorrow, tell me the story of the little seashell." Jiang Hao lowered his head. Miao Shi sat straight beside him. "I'm sorry for troubling you." "That's all right," said Jiang Hao. "You should go and stay with Xiaoli as long as you can." Miao Shi nodded and walked inside. Jiang Hao sat in the courtyard and closed his eyes to rest. He sat there until the first ray of sunlight hit his face. He got up and entered the inner room. Xiaoli was sitting next to the two old people. She looked very worried. "Are you feeling unwell?" She helped them up. "I will go find a doctor. I can help brew some medicine too." "It's okay. I'm in perfect health," said Miao Xiang. Miao Shi looked at Xiaoli in concern. His eyes were closing. He hadn't slept a wink all night. He was afraid that if he closed his eyes, he might not open them again. "You don't need to be scared even if you're sick," Xiaoli said. "I'll stay here and take care of you until you get better. I can catch fish, cook and brew medicine. I can take good care of you. Leave it all to me from now on." "You have grown up," said Miao Xiang with a smile. She whispered to Xiaoli, "There should be eggs today. Go and see how many there are." "Okay." Xiaoli got up excitedly and ran out. "If there are eggs, I'll cook them for you." Jiang Hao sat beside them. Qing Chou also walked in from outside. He lowered his head sadly when he saw the two old and sickly people. He had accompanied Xiaoli here many times before. He felt sad for the two people. "Can I entrust Xiaoli to you in the future?" Miao Xiang asked Jiang Hao. "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. Miao Xiang had a little time, but Miao Shi was breathing his last breath. "We have a secret," Miao Shi said weakly. "We thought we would take it to our graves, but it seems only right to tell you. We found Xiaoli in the river." "I know," Jiang Hao said softly. I also know that Xiaoli is a true dragon. It's one of the reasons she grows so slowly. It's normal for her. I promise she will grow up to be an adult. Thank you. The two elders smiled. Finally, they looked at Chingqiu as if thanking him for taking care of them all this time. When they closed their eyes, Xiaoli came running with eggs in her hands. A middle-aged man and a woman appeared behind her. When the two old people closed their eyes, they thought they heard someone calling out for them. Mother. Father. Soon they heard Xiaoli's voice in their ears. What's wrong? I found the eggs. Are you not feeling well? I can go and find a doctor. Xiaoli's voice was choked with tears. The eggs in her hands fell to the ground and splattered everywhere. Please, Mother. I'm so clumsy. I dropped the eggs again. They are all smashed. Please wake up. Scold me. You promised you would tell me a story. Please don't leave me behind. I promise I won't ask for meat. I'll always listen and obey. Please don't leave me. Xiaoli was sobbing now. Please. I even grew taller than before. Please wake up. Jiang Hao stood by the side and watched as the two old people breathed their last. He then reached out and held Xiaoli. Chapter 237. Asking the Demoness for a favor. After Xiaoli stopped crying, Jiang Hao left the courtyard. The funeral would be held soon. He couldn't attend it, but he asked Chingqiu to help out. Jiang Hao left because of Gui. She would soon find this place because of the dragon. She might send someone to investigate secretly. After leaving the courtyard, Jiang Hao made his way to the riverside. When the two old people were dying, Jiang Hao showed them the illusion of their children running to their bedsides. He didn't want them to die with regrets, so he showed them what they wanted to see. Jiang Hao couldn't help but worry about Xiaoli. It was quite a blow to her. It reminded him of his stepmother. Although she had been harsh on him, she had still raised him when he was a child. When he saw the two old people breathing their last, he couldn't help but be reminded of his stepmother. Unfortunately, he hadn't been able to find her or his father. Jiang Hao stood for a long time by the riverside. The wind blew gently and swayed his robes. It carried a familiar, faint fragrance in the air. Jiang Hao suddenly turned. Sure enough, she was there again. She wore a red and white dress. Her long hair swayed in the wind. A belt cinched her slender waist. At this moment she was looking at the river, so Jiang Hao could only see the side of her face. Hong Yuya. How did she appear here suddenly? Senior? I saw that the village is holding a funeral. Am I right to assume it's somehow connected with you? She turned to look at Jiang Hao. It's related to a junior that I'm looking out for, said Jiang Hao. She had only those two people and they just passed away. You can't stand to be there? Hong Yuya faced Jiang Hao. Then she walked upstream. It's nothing like that. It just makes me feel sad that life can be too short, he said. How so? Asked Hong Yuya as she glanced at him. I knew that junior sister Xiaoli would have to face this day. She joined the Heavenly Note sect, so her old parents' lives were just improving. They should have lived a long, comfortable life, but now they are dead only after a few years since Xiaoli joined the sect. The time was too short for them to be with each other. Do you remember why you picked up a saber? Hong Yuya asked. Yes, said Jiang Hao. The immortal sects usually use the blade. Do you think you look like someone from the demonic sect? Asked Hong Yuya. Jiang Hao lowered his head and remained silent. Hong Yuya stopped speaking and walked quietly along the riverside. Jiang Hao followed her aimlessly. Is my tree going to bear fruit? She asked. Almost. Jiang Hao nodded. Will it be sour or sweet this year? Hong Yuya looked at the setting sun. Sweet. Sweet. Hong Yuya looked at Jiang Hao with a teasing smile. But I want to eat something sour. There should be some sour ones as well, Jiang Hao said. The unripe ones would be sour. Jiang Hao wondered if Hong Yuya would find fault with that too. He hesitated. Senior, can I ask a favor from you? A favor? Hong Yuya asked. Sure. You'll have to give something back as repayment though. We can just put it on your tab for now and I can retrieve it next time. Can you please bring the spirit beast here? Asked Jiang Hao. Hong Yuya reached out and grabbed the air. The unconscious spirit beast appeared in her hands, bloodied and bruised. This? Hong Yuya threw the beast to Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was puzzled. He couldn't understand how Hong Yuya did it. Thank you, senior. No need to thank me. You can pay me back next time. Hong Yuya stared at Jiang Hao. Tell me about your progress. It's been over half a year. How's your undercover mission going? I did make some progress, but I still need to sort out some details, said Jiang Hao reluctantly. Hong Yuye gazed at Jiang Hao calmly. Then a surge of power erupted. Bang! Jiang Hao was sent flying and crashed heavily into a boulder. I hope next time you can be just as confident, Hong Yuye said. The pain made Jiang Hao's eyes water. When he looked up, Hong Yuye was gone. With that, Jiang Hao finally heaved a sigh of relief. The problem was that it was difficult to investigate the person who was behind the stone tablet. It was almost impossible to find their location. If he wanted to find them, he needed to provoke the people in the group so they revealed their location willingly. However, uncovering the true culprit behind the stone tablets was almost impossible. Even Dan Yuan might not know who might be behind all that. Jiang Hao looked at the spirit beast in his hand. Ching Chou wasn't a comforting person. Xiaoli would need all the support she could get. The spirit beast might be of comfort to her during this time. As he threw the beast on the ground, it woke up and wailed. With that, Jiang Hao communicated with the formation in his courtyard, where he had hidden the ring. He disappeared from the spot. He had learned one thing from all this. The Heaven Secret's hidden talisman didn't work on Hong Yuye. Perhaps it would only be possible to conceal himself from her after he somehow lost the Heaven Extinction Goo poison. Since there was no way of that happening anytime soon, he needed to focus on his cultivation. At the Heavenly Note sect, Du Yong glanced at Jiang Hao's courtyard. He then turned and left. We can't proceed with the original plan. It's too dangerous, he said. Initially, he had planned to befriend Jiang Hao and lure him out of the sect. After that, he would make his true body possess him and turn him into a divine corpse. However, he found out that Jiang Hao couldn't leave the sect easily. This sect has so many rules. So many things are forbidden here. But they don't care what happens outside the sect. What truly made him change his mind was the Corpse Realm flower. Under normal circumstances, the Corpse Realm flower couldn't bloom at all. Even he didn't know how to cultivate it, so it was almost impossible for the Heavenly Note sect to figure that out. The only possibility was that something must have happened to his master. What kind of problem would make his master reveal the secret of the Corpse Realm flower? There was only one reason. It had something to do with the corpse heart. Only that could make his master compromise. The Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower is in Jiang Hao's hands, and the credit for the blooming of the Corpse Realm flower also goes to Jiang Hao. Either he has someone supporting him from behind, or he possesses certain abilities. According to my previous speculation, with his age and possession of the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower, it is possible that he might be an illegitimate child of a high-ranking member of the Heavenly Note sect. But now, it seems maybe that's not all. Maybe Jiang Hao is the illegitimate child of the sect master. Now that the Corpse Realm flower has bloomed, it means that my master's corpse heart might be discovered too. Also, I might be targeted. My only advantage is that my strength far surpasses the Foundation Establishment realm. My true self must not appear, but we still need to place the corpse heart closer to the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower. What is the safest way to do it? Du Yong furrowed his brow. I can't possess Jiang Hao. Why not let my master possess him? If the corpse heart blooms, my master can directly possess him. As long as I deceive him and lure him out, I can get close to him with my clone. By substituting the corpse heart for his heart, he will naturally nourish the corpse heart because he is around the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower all the time. When the corpse heart is released, I can seize control of it, and then the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower will also be in my hands. If everything went smoothly, this plan was the most efficient way of getting the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower. But he needed to think it through. In any case, he needed to prioritize the safety of his true self. Chapter 238, A New Gathering. In the southern region, somewhere in the Heavenly South Prefecture, a woman in a yellow dress descended from the air. At the edge of the mountain peak, a middle-aged man with white hair looked at the woman and smiled. Lady Baizhu, you arrived quite early. How is it? Baizhu asked as she landed on the ground. The middle-aged man handed her a scroll. I marked the area here. It is a remote place in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture. Taking the scroll, Lady Baizhu carefully examined it and found that there were 3 rivers and countless mountains marked within the enclosed area. There were quite a few towns as well. The area is huge, she said. It is indeed quite big, the middle-aged man said. It will take about a month to accurately pinpoint the location. Since you don't plan on going there personally, I assume you are going to put someone else up to the task. The person might not find the exact location on time. Lady Baiju nodded. Then let's settle the payment next time. This time, it's not me who is going to take action, so it won't be on its guard, she said and left on her flying sword. A month from now, I will have the crane deliver the location to you. Don't forget to pay the price then, the middle-aged man said. Of course, Lady Baiju said. Soon she returned to her temporary residence. After activating the formations around her, she took out the stone tablet. She frowned as she watched the texts on it. Jing hasn't entered the chat in a long time. He only appears in gatherings. Is he busy, or is he deliberately avoiding us? Lady Baiju's eyebrows were knitted tightly. Without any contact, it was difficult to gauge Jing's intent. Those people who deliberately avoided contact were either busy or trying to hide something. It's okay. It's been almost 6 months. The next gathering might be soon. I can ask Jing to help out and find out how capable he is. After that, Lady Baiju entered the stone tablet. Her code name was still Gue. In the Hidden Cloud Prefecture, at the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Jiang Hao appeared in the living room of his house. He then walked out to the courtyard and stopped in front of the immortal peach tree. The cool breeze ruffled his hair. He brewed some tea for himself and sat down on a wooden chair. He poured himself a cup. Jiang Hao had expected Xiao Li's old parents to entrust her care to him. He knew they were at the end of their lives. However, he wouldn't take up her care indefinitely. After she became strong enough to look after herself, he would let her venture on her own path. He planned the same for the spirit beast. If they didn't come back, that would be great. But if they did, it would mean trouble for him. With their talents, they would surpass even his cultivation realm. If they caused trouble, others would come after him because he was their master. His dream of a peaceful life would be disrupted. In short, the more people he got close to, the more troublesome it would be for him. His courtyard was too small to accommodate great demons and true dragons. Jiang Hao lifted the teacup to his lips and took a sip. After that, he wanted to cultivate. He was so close to reaching the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. Once he reached the late stage, his cultivation would be on par with Bai Ye's. Even if he couldn't kill him, Jiang Hao needed to find a way to severely injure him. He couldn't let Bai Yi initiate a challenge using the title of one of the top disciples of the sect. That would complicate matters. He had to do everything in his power to prevent Bai Yi from becoming one of the top 10 disciples. If Bai Yi continued to become stronger, it was hard to say what kind of techniques he would develop. Once they became too difficult to bypass, it would be too bothersome for Jiang Hao. The only way was to suppress him. In his room, Jiang Hao assessed his situation and began to cultivate. Jiang Hao felt miserable looking at the points. They were very low. After reaching the primordial spirit realm, it had proven increasingly difficult to obtain blue bubbles. If he had known that the credit for the corpse realm flowers would fall on his head, he would have cultivated the flowers himself. At least that way he would have gotten some bubbles. What was more frustrating was that the 12 corpse realm flowers resonated with each other and absorbed the spiritual energy in their vicinity as nourishment. They didn't require tending to. Jiang Hao sighed. It was like the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. When he was away, the spirit beast took care of the flower, and he couldn't obtain bubbles at all. If it weren't for the bubbles, why would Jiang Hao ever choose to work in the spirit herb garden? It reminded him of the days when he was still an outer sect disciple. It had taken him years to accumulate points to advance in his cultivation. After becoming an inner sect disciple, his progress had been much faster. After planting the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, his progress was even quicker. The best way to get bubbles was through mining. That had helped Jiang Hao a lot as well. All these factors were how he had been able to advance from the middle stage of the foundation establishment realm to the primordial spirit realm. However, he was at a stalemate again. It might take hundreds of years to resolve things with the people who hated him. The most pressing matter right now was to steadily improve his cultivation. He hoped he could get one more purple bubble so that he could obtain another divine ability. After returning home, Jiang Hao didn't think about Xiao Li's family anymore. The matter had come to this and he accepted it. It was time to move on. It wasn't easy for Xiao Li. Jiang Hao hoped the spirit beast could make her feel better. Jiang Hao was powerless in that respect. He had never had bonds like that with anyone, but Xiao Li was different. She had a family who loved her. It was a place where she could feel safe and comfortable. Her 2 old parents had looked forward to her return every single time. There was delicious food for her at home, someone to tell her stories at night, and someone to dig bamboo shoots just for her. But now it was all gone. Xiao Li wouldn't have a home to return to anymore. She would have no one to share her stories with. Jiang Hao closed his eyes and calmed his mind. Purple energy surrounded him, and he began to refine his cultivation. After 7 days, Jiang Hao returned to his previous way of life. The Heaven Secret's hidden talisman had also expired, and the effect was gone. Jiang Hao wasn't in a hurry to take on tasks from the law enforcement hall anytime soon. He would pay them back later. There were still 3 months left. The immortal peach tree might not last that long. The peach tree had already bloomed. In less than 3 months it would bear fruits. By then, Jiang Hao would be able to figure out how many spirit stones he needed for another incarnation. Early the next morning, Jiang Hao sensed the stone tablet vibrating in his pocket. He took it out to see what was happening. Dan Yuan was calling everyone for a gathering. Chapter 239. Finally, Gui asks the most anticipated question. Jiang Hao entered the public area. The people gathered there were the same ones as before. The 4 of them respectfully greeted each other. Dan Yuan smiled at them all. "We meet again after 6 months," he said. The 4 of them sat cross-legged on the ground. "Do you have any questions about cultivation?" asked Dan Yuan. "I met a fellow cultivator overseas who encountered a bottleneck in their cultivation and couldn't break through," said Lu. "I feel like I might go through the same thing in the future. I might have taken the wrong path. If I create a clone and cultivate on the right path, will I be able to reverse that?" "It's unlikely." Dan Yuan was deep in thought. Reversing it would put a far greater burden on the body than anticipated. If there are pills that can nourish the body's meridians, it could be worth a try. If not, I don't recommend doing it. The best method is to cultivate an external body that lacks any spiritual intelligence and can only be controlled by the main body's consciousness. After finding the correct cultivation method, you can transfer the cultivation to the main body. Then the main body can start cultivation anew. This way you will have both security and the ability to go further. Lu nodded. The others didn't have any questions. Then let's talk about the previous mission. Dan Yuan looked at everyone. Is there any news about the person? Gui shook her head. Lu and Xing didn't have any information regarding that either. They were too far away to investigate. Gui had inquired but found out that there hadn't been any major battles in the Heavenly Note sect in the recent past. After that, she was busy hunting the dragon. Dan Yuan looked at Jiang Hao. Friend Jing, you were also in that area. Did you find anything? Jiang Hao had already prepared the answer in his mind. I did learn something, he said. What is it? Asked Dan Yuan. Senior, have you heard of the Corpse Realm Flower? Asked Jiang Hao. I've heard of it. Dan Yuan nodded and smiled. I heard it had appeared near the Heavenly Note sect, said Jiang Hao. The others were surprised. Dan Yuan was silent for a while. I see. Anything else? I heard that the flower has bloomed in the Heavenly Note sect, Jiang Hao said. He was taking a gamble. Only a very few people actually knew about it. He might be discovered. He chose his next words more carefully. Gui listened attentively. Dan Yuan smiled. Friend Jing, you have completed the mission. You can ask for anything you want. Completed? Gui and the others were puzzled. Jing, you can explain to them, said Dan Yuan with a smile. Jiang Hao felt somewhat helpless. He had to be careful. Recently, I heard that the Heavenly Note sect has been collecting books and records on how to plant and raise the Corpse Realm flower. So? Gui asked. She might have investigated too early. Otherwise she would have heard about the flower. The Corpse Realm flower is a unique flower found in the northern region. Very few people know how to cultivate it. Jing suspects that the Heavenly Note sect might have captured someone from the north, said Lu. Jiang Hao nodded. What is truly worth noting is that the Corpse Realm flower has bloomed. At this point he dared not reveal any more details. It was easy to slip. Zhuang Yuzhen only revealed the cultivation method when the corpse heart was threatened. So, the blooming of the Corpse Realm flower meant that he had surrendered. Jiang Hao's knowledge was limited, and he didn't dare speculate further about it. However, the others understood. The possible capture of the Corpse Realm flower could be an accident, but figuring out a way to make it bloom would mean that someone from the north was captured and forced to reveal the information. Based on Dan Yuan's information, the person who had gone to investigate the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower had been from the north. Dan Yuan smiled and turned to look at Jiang Hao. Friend Jing, have you thought about what information you want? Senior, I was wondering if you knew why the disciples of the Great Thousand God sect were sent to the Hidden Cloud Prefecture. His intention was to find out something for Hong Yuye, but he didn't dare ask openly. That would only bring him trouble. He knew that the stone tablets were from the Great Thousand God sect. While investigating the mastermind behind the stone table, he could also learn about the goals of the Grand Thousand God sect and possibly find the person behind all this. At the same time, he could also report to Hong Yuye about his findings. It couldn't be considered a perfect solution, but it would allow him to establish some Cray 1D111Ly. I will give you an answer at our next gathering, Dan Yuan said. Then he looked at the others. There is no mission this time. Gui looked at Jiang Hao. Jing, I found the location of the dragon. Are you willing to go there? Huangsha River, Jiang Hao said. You can go there and look up river. Finally, his moment had arrived. He had been waiting for this. With the information about the corpse realm flower and Gui's task, his credibility was slowly being established in the group. He just had to maintain a good image now. If he killed the wrong dragon, the consequences would be unimaginable. What do you mean? Gui asked. She realized that there were 3 rivers marked on the scroll. One of them was the Huangsha River. Do you mean I should go and search up river? Gui made a note of it. She found it unbelievable. She would check it out and see if Jing was correct. Lu and Xing were also surprised. Jing had first completed Dan Yuan's task, and now he was solving Gui's problem. Gui hesitated for a while. What do you want in return? If your information is correct, then you can tell me what you want so I can prepare. Recently, I've been interested in curses, Jiang Hao said. He didn't dare ask for any items from these people, as their strength far exceeded his own. Contact with them would only endanger him. So, information and techniques were the most suitable. And his interest in curses wasn't on a sudden whim. It was because he wanted to use it against Bai Yi. If Bai Yi could use a sealing technique to seal his cultivation, Jiang Hao would find a curse to prevent him from advancing too. Chapter 240, Free Form. Curses? Gui wasn't very surprised. What kind of curses are you looking for? What kind? Jiang Hao was puzzled. There are different types of curses. For example, there are luck-related curses, which are comprehensive curses that make everything go wrong. But they are not specific, so you might not have control over them. To succeed, you need to pay a significant price. And there are specific curses that can be either instant or delayed. For example, the curse to make someone die a horrible death might happen instantly, but cursing them with no descendant might take effect slowly over a span of decades. I used the latter type on the dragon. I cursed it with decay so that its body would weaken gradually. Can I have both? Jiang Hao asked. You can, but curses have backlash. I can only provide you with a method to avoid the backlash from one tiny of curse at a time, so, do Von want to avoid the backlash of comprehensive curses or specific curses? Gui asked. Jiang Hao understood that there was a price to pay when cursing someone. Gui didn't mind teaching him some curses with a method to prevent the backlash. After hesitating for a moment, Jiang Hao said, let's go with the specific curses. They were simple and convenient with a higher success rate. For a beginner, this choice was better. However, he wasn't sure about the difficulty of learning a curse. Okay. Gui nodded. After confirming everything on the Huangsha River, I'll have the curses ready for our next gathering. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you have any recommendations for clone techniques? If it's for protection, it's better to choose some orthodox, external clones, said Xing. The Clear Sky School has a secret technique called Free Form, which should be suitable. Can we get it? Lu asked. It will take some time, Xing said. However, there is another option, the Bright Moon Sex Incarnation Technique, Myriad Bodies. As long as it's a sentient being such as a spirit herb, spirit beast, or spirit plant, it can be used as a clone. I can give you that right now. What do you want in return? Lu asked. Help me find someone. She fled overseas. I will tell you the details later, Xing said. Do you want them alive? Doesn't matter. Jiang Hao was quite surprised. The secret techniques of the Clear Sky School and the Bright Moon sect were available to be exchanged. He wondered about Xing's identity. However, he kept a straight face. These individuals were stronger than him and were in cultivation realms that surpassed his own. It was quite difficult to appear capable and mysterious in front of them. After the exchange was confirmed, Lu said, I heard from some people overseas that the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl is in the southern region. It's possible that someone went there to search for it. The southern region? Gui exclaimed. Then I need to leave quickly. If it really erupts, it will be too late to escape. Jing, are you leaving too? Jiang Hao shook his head. He couldn't tell them that the heavenly fate misfortune pearl was with him. It went everywhere he went. It was still surprising that some people had been able to guess its location. He needed to be cautious. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl is of great importance. If someone tries to seize it, it's best to inform some bigger sects secretly so they can handle it, said Dan Yuan. What will happen if the heavenly fate misfortune pearl erupts without anyone stopping it? Xing asked. The question intrigued Jiang Hao as well. He wasn't aware of the specifics of the pearl. If no one stops it, the entire land will turn into a purgatory. According to records, an unparalleled great war occurred in ancient times, during which countless powerful beings perished, and the heavens and earth collapsed. It caused the extinction of many creatures. The reason the war came to a halt was because of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. All people joined forces to seal it, Dan Yuan said. Jiang Hao felt a chill down his spine. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl was truly terrifying. It was no wonder Dan Yuan had mentioned notifying the bigger sects about it as soon as possible. If they didn't act promptly, it would be even more difficult to contain the situation. For a moment, Jiang Hao hesitated. He wondered if he should return the pearl to its original place in the ruin. However, it was useful to deter others if he had it on himself. It could be used to intimidate anyone who tried to get close. Just the mention of the pearl was enough to deter enemies. But using it to threaten Bai Yi wouldn't have any useful effect. Oh right, Dan Yuan suddenly remembered something. The mission of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower is still on. You can gather information on how to plant it, cultivate it, the appearance of the flower, etc. The others nodded. The information was almost impossible to find. They had to rely on their luck. Jiang Hao knew about it but couldn't tell them. If he revealed that he knew about the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, he would be in trouble. They discussed random things for a long time before the gathering ended. Under the moonlight, Jiang Hao began to take stock of the new information he had learned from the gathering. Xing must be someone extraordinary, muttered Jiang Hao. Lu is obviously somewhere overseas. However, I have no extra information about Gui. The people of the Great Thousand God sect are behind the stone tablets. I'll know more about it at the next gathering. I could learn about curses at that time too. As for the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, soon trouble might come to the Heavenly Note sect. Jiang Hao knew about the origin of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, but he didn't know what exactly had happened in that era. Dan Yuan mentioned an ancient war. Hong Yuya mentioned it too. It seems that the heavenly fate misfortune pearl was sealed in the ruin in the Devil's Denver. There is the mine too. Hong Yuya did say it was an ancient battlefield as well. If all of this was true, then the Heavenly Note sect was truly incredible. Who would even think of establishing a sect here? If they could make good use of it, it would be like receiving divine assistance. However, Jiang Hao didn't remember the Heavenly Note sect receiving something like that. The Heavenly Note sect was still dangerous. Maybe not from external forces, but the internal strife was enough to endanger every disciple. There was one more danger added to it, the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. If there were other items like the pearl, one slip would doom the sect. He didn't think too much about it. That was out of his control. Xing wants to find someone, but they are overseas. It's a pity that I can't find them. Otherwise, I could have found out more about Xing. He needed to find out the identities of the people involved. However, his priority right now was to establish his credibility in the group. He had to wait for Gui to find the dragon. He could then prove his credibility. I just need to wait for Gui to visit the Huangsha River. Only the next gathering could answer his burning questions. Until then, he needed to find something to do. Without Ching Chou in the outer sect's spirit herb garden, Jiang Hao needed to keep an eye on it. He also needed to visit Chu Chuan. He could check on his progress this time. In a few more years, the Bright Moon sect will hold a Grand Dao conference. It would be best if Chu Chuan could reach the Foundation establishment realm at that time and attend the conference. The most important thing for Jiang Hao was to accumulate more points for lifeblood and cultivation. He also needed to pay attention to Du Yong and see if he would bury the corpse heart somewhere. Jiang Hao had yet to visit the Lawless Tower again. However, when he recalled the Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion appearing again, he didn't want to go anywhere near it. Chapter 241, Capturing a Spy. At noon, on the outskirts of the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Chu Chuan practiced the 100 revolutions of the Heavenly Note technique. Currently he was practicing the first set of movements. He always practiced it diligently. He never slacked off. Chu Chuan's goal was to be able to spar better with the spirit beast and Xiao Li. In these past 2 years he didn't know how he had managed to get through. In any case they had guided him well. When he finished his practice he suddenly noticed someone standing behind him. It was Jiang Hao. Senior brother Jiang? Chu Chuan looked surprised. He had hardly seen Jiang Hao in the past 2 years. The beast and junior sister Xiao Li are out of the sect. Today I've come to assess your progress, Jiang Hao said, picking up a tree branch from the ground. I see. That's why I didn't see the spirit beast for so many days, said Chu Chuan. Chu Chuan, although still a young boy, had grown quite a bit in these 2 years. Combined with his cultivation at the 4th stage of the lifeblood refinement realm, he no longer resembled the weak and frail child he had accompanied to the sect. Jiang Hao felt a bit sentimental looking at the child in front of him. Senior brother Jiang, should I start? Chu Chuan took a deep breath and prepared to make a move. Sure. Jiang Hao nodded. Chu Chuan quickly stepped forward. In the blink of an eye he was in front of Jiang Hao and throwing a punch. Jiang Hao didn't dodge but simply swung the tree branch. A crisp sound rang out as the branch hit Chu Chuan's fist, forcing it to change direction. Chu Chuan followed up with a kick. The branch blocked that too. Chu Chuan's foot was pushed back. He tried again. He was faster and more agile than before. Jiang Hao stood firm, using only the tree branch to defend himself. He didn't even turn his head regardless of the continuous attacks. Chu Chuan became more and more frenzied. There was a surge in his strength. When his kicks and punches had no effect, he used different techniques to launch an attack. After more than 2 years of practice he was finally getting better. He felt exhilarated. Jiang Hao began to counterattack. The branch struck Chu Chuan's chest, forcing him to step back. Instability in your aura, inadequate execution of the technique, Jiang Hao said. Then he countered with a sweeping leg attack, causing Chu Chuan to lose his balance. Rigid movements, incorrect posture, failure to generate force from the waist. At this point Chu Chuan used magical attacks. Jiang Hao broke them all. You're decent at using magical techniques but not skilled enough. Jiang Hao attacked Chu Chuan from all directions. Chu Chuan was curled up on the ground. Finally Jiang Hao threw down the tree branch. Overall your progress has been too fast so the other aspects couldn't keep up. The foundation of your cultivation isn't refined enough. Chu Chuan sat up on the ground and grimaced in pain. Senior brother Jiang, am I at least considered a bit impressive? It depends on who you're comparing yourself to, Jiang Hao said calmly. Compared to ordinary outer sect disciples, you're indeed impressive. Compared to your childhood sweetheart, you're slightly inferior. Just slightly inferior? Chu Chuan was pleasantly surprised. Jiang Hao smiled. Even that slight difference will be impossible to catch up to in a lifetime. What cultivation level is Chu Jia at now? Chu Chuan looked at Jiang Hao with anticipation. If she is focused on cultivation she might be at the 6th stage of the lifeblood refinement realm. However, if she is focusing on refining her cultivation more, then the 5th stage. Chu Chuan was at the 4th stage of the lifeblood refinement realm. Zhao Qingxue, with exceptional talent, was also in the 4th stage. It wasn't surprising for Chu Jie to be at the 5th stage. The Bright Moon sect was not weaker than the Clear Sky School. If Chu Chuan could advance one step ahead, it wouldn't be a waste. Right now, the most important thing was to refine the cultivation and strengthen the foundation. In the early stages, it wasn't crucial to advance quickly to another stage. It was more important to refine and strengthen one's cultivation. Chu Chuan was of the right temperament to do this. Impressive, Chu Chuan looked delighted. Senior brother Jiang, when can I see Chu Jia? In a few years. If you reach the foundation establishment realm by then, it would be best, said Jiang Hao. Will you come with me at that time, senior brother Jiang? Jiang Hao shook his head. In theory it would be impossible for him to go with Chu Chuan. But with the 9 rings of heaven and earth and the Heaven Secret's hidden talisman, he could perhaps have a 3-day window to make a trip there. However, he couldn't leave the sect. The probability of him being targeted was high. It would be dangerous. After checking Chu Chuan's progress, Jiang Hao headed to the outer sect's spirit herb garden. There were some changes in representatives from the other branches, but Xia Cheng was still there. There were also more people in the late stage of the foundation establishment realm. When Jiang Hao arrived, some people walked over to greet him. However, they acted strangely in front of him. Jiang Hao was also unsure why they were acting like that. Was it because they were dissatisfied with Xia Cheng's change of attitude toward him, or because he was credited with the achievement of making the corpse realm flowers bloom? Regardless, they weren't making a move against him, so Jiang Hao brushed it off. He headed straight for the Lawless Tower. He wanted to see Zhuang Yuzhen and perhaps get some more information from him. It wasn't suitable to stay away for too long since Elder Baiji was keeping an eye on the case. On the way he saw Lu Xingqian. "I was just looking for you, junior brother Jiang," said Lu Xingqian. "What a coincidence that I ran into you here." "Senior brother Lu, greetings. Why were you looking for me?" Whenever Lu Xingqian came to find him, there was usually something going on. "Do you remember the incident because of which your resources were stripped? The 5-year deadline is coming to an end," said Lu Xingqian. "Oh, so, can I receive them now?" 40 spirit stones were not a small quantity. That was intended, but someone from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion appeared, and they had a very violent aura around them, said Lu Xingqian helplessly. "The law enforcement hall decided to extend your punishment for 3 more years. Jiang Hao fell silent. His resources for 3 more years would be confiscated again. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do about that. "It seems that you don't really care that much about it," said Lu Xingqian. "Junior brother Jiang, I suggest you show a little more concern about it and complain to your cliff master. If you even pretend to be miffed about it, they'll be more at ease." Jiang Hao wouldn't really go to complain to his master. He wasn't a true disciple. If he complained too much, his master might start disliking him. It wasn't worth it. His master had given him 5,000 spirit stones last time as a reward after all. It was best to just accept his fate and not attract the attention of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion. The reason his resources got confiscated for 3 more years must have been because he had seen the pavilion master near the Lawless Tower last time. "Oh, there's another interesting matter," Lu Xingqian said with a smile. "While you were away, someone went to your house and kept an eye on you. The people of the law enforcement hall happened to see him. He turned out to be a spy from the Sunset Immortal sect. He insisted that he was there to meet you. So, you are even more suspicious now. You may need to cooperate with our investigation in the near future. Of course, it won't affect your tasks outside. If you take a mission and you fail, you still have to pay compensation." "What if they come looking for me when I happen to be away from the sect?" Jiang Hao asked. "If the person can't be found, the problem becomes more serious. You might be made to pay a large amount as compensation," said Lu Xingqian. Jiang Hao was speechless. Chapter 242. Didn't you know that the Heavenly Note sect was a demonic sect? Translator. Endless Fantasp Editor. Endless Fantasp. The law enforcement hall seemed to constantly remind Jiang Hao that he belonged to the demonic sect. They could just command him to do what they wanted him to do, but they gave him a choice. They allowed him to pay compensation. Jiang Hao had no intention of taking on another mission. Getting involved with a spy was unexpected. With a sigh, he stopped thinking about it. He would stick to his previous plan and continue stalling. He now had 8,000 spirit stones. He could go ahead and prepare for another incarnation of the immortal peach tree. This time, he didn't want to delay because he only needed 1 purple bubble to obtain a new divine power. Obtaining a new divine ability would give him an edge. He wasn't sure what kind of divine ability he would get this time. "I heard something else these past few days," Lu Xingqian said unexpectedly. "I heard that Bai Yi has challenged Man Long." "Really?" Jiang Hao was surprised. "He challenged one of the top 10 disciples." "Yes." Lu Xingqian nodded. "It happened a couple of days ago, and it won't be long before it's announced publicly. His chance of success is not high, so I don't know why he's in such a hurry. If he reaches the late stage of the primordial spirit realm, his chance of success will be higher. He may not be able to hold on to the position even in the peak stage of the primordial spirit realm, let alone the late stage. It seems he has some plans for this year." The news surprised Jiang Hao. He didn't expect Bai Yi to start pursuing a position among the top 10 this soon. He thought Bai Yi was like him, waiting to improve his cultivation before trying to be one of the top 10 disciples. Bai Yi was trying to act too fast without any preparations. "When?" Jiang Hao asked. "To fight one of the top 10 disciples, the challenge must be issued a year in advance. So, they will be fighting next year. The location is chosen by the challenger, but it will be announced 1 day before the fight." Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. He still had 1 year left. In 1 year he could learn some curses, even if he wasn't able to catch up to Bai Yi in his cultivation. He didn't want Bai Yi to become one of the top 10 disciples. Since Bai Yi chooses the location, is it possible that he can set up formations there? Jiang Hao asked. No. Lu Xingchen shook his head. Normal formations and restrictions cannot be set up at the venue unless they are set up secretly without anyone discovering them. Jiang Hao nodded. After talking for a while, Lu Xingchen walked toward the mining area. Since I have met you already and relayed the information to you, I'll get going. Jiang Hao bid him farewell. However, he wondered what Lu Xingchen was planning next. Was he going to the mines to find another remnant soul and let it possess him? Lu Xingchen was very close to reaching the middle stage of the primordial spirit realm. He wanted to know if the two creatures who possessed him had decided to join forces against him. However, he was going to meet Zhuang Yuzhen, so he needed to save the daily appraisal ability for that. A short while later, Jiang Hao reached the 5th floor of the Lawless Tower. He stood in front of the prisoner's cage. Jiang Hao tapped on the wooden bars. Are you awake? He asked. Zhuang Yuzhen slowly raised his head. His eyes brightened when he saw Jiang Hao. It seemed like he had been waiting for him for a long time. It seems like you really wanted to see me, Jiang Hao said calmly. Didn't your sect inform you that I wanted to see you? Zhuang Yuzhen asked. Jiang Hao shook his head. No. No one had even informed him about that. Zhuang Yuzhen had been deceived. That was normal in a demonic sect. Even the members of the sect were often deceived, let alone prisoners. Don't tell me this is a demonic sect. Huh? Jiang Hao was surprised. Didn't you know this was a demonic sect when you came here, senior? Zhuang Yuzhen was momentarily stunned. Then he sighed. When I came here, I only knew that this was a substandard and inferior sect. Substandard. Jiang Hao didn't agree with that. Although the Heavenly Note sect wasn't very big, it was still a first-class sect. At least in the southern region, it was one of the most powerful sects out there. It was on par with the Black Heaven sect and the Sunset Immortal sect, which were both first-class sections. Azure Mountain was considered a decent sect. However, the Heavenly Note sect had attacked it and won. As for the Clear Sky School and the Bright Moon sect, they were true immortal sections. They were top-notch sects that were unparalleled in the whole realm. Even if several sects joined forces, it wouldn't be enough to challenge them. Senior, you should be more cautious, Jiang Hao said. Attacking a sect without knowing everything about it could get one trapped like Zhuang Yuzhen. Cautious. Zhuang Yuzhen sneered. Would you be cautious to pick a flower from the neighborhood? Jiang Hao was speechless. His answer would be affirmative. He was always super cautious when doing anything. Senior, how did you know that the heavenly fragrance Dao flower was in the southern region? You are from the north, right? In fact, he knew it was all related to Dan Yuan. Some people in the southern region already knew about the heavenly fragrance Dao flower being in the Heavenly Note sect. It wasn't a big secret. Jiang Hao wanted to find Dan Yuan's real identity. If he found him in person, he could snatch his stone tablet and figure out who was behind all this. If it weren't for the fear of being detected by the mastermind behind the stone tablets, Jiang Hao would have already found out the real identities of Dan Yuan and the others at the gathering. However, he didn't want to be reckless. Besides, it was highly likely that he wouldn't be able to use his divine ability with a shred of his consciousness in the stone tablet. It wasn't that difficult. I just had to ask someone. How did you contact this person? Jiang Hao asked. First, tell me why the heavenly fragrance Dao flower is in your hands, Zhuang Yuzhen said. I don't know. You should ask the higher-ups who are aware of this matter. I'm just following orders, said Jiang Hao. That was partly a lie. He knew that the heavenly fragrance Dao flower was handed to him so that spies could be lured in. It was a bait. What else do you know? Zhuang Yuzhen stared at Jiang Hao. What do you mean? Jiang Hao asked in confusion. You know what I'm talking about, Zhuang Yuzhen said. Can you tell me what will happen after the corpse realm flower matures? Jiang Hao asked. Kid, you're only in the late stage of the foundation establishment realm. You should know that I could kill you with a single breath if I were out of here. Tell me what else you know. Zhuang Yuzhen seemed unable to restrain the anger in his voice. It seems like you don't really want to talk with me, Jiang Hao said. I have had enough of your nonsense. Tell me how much you actually know and where you learned about that name. Jiang Hao remained calm and took a step forward. He beckoned the prisoner closer. Come closer and I'll tell you 2 more words. After I finish, you will be calm and willing to talk more. Chapter 243. Lin Ji is about to be expelled from the sect. Come back here. Stop right there. Zhuang Yuzhen struggled frantically against the prison bars. After uttering the mysterious words, Jiang Hao watched him flip entirely. He just turned around and left. He didn't plan on talking with the prisoner for too long. Talking too much usually ruined the suspense. The prospect of something unknown drove people crazy. It made them curious and restless. Only after finding out more could the mind be calm again. Zhuang Yuzhen was feeling that now. He didn't know how much Jiang Hao knew, and the doubt was making him frantic. Bring him to me. I will tell him everything. At this moment, the black-robed woman approached the prisoner. Be a little more sincere, why don't you? I won't talk if I don't see him. Let him come here and I'll tell him everything. The black-robed woman hesitated. Well, I'm not in a hurry. You bitch. I'll remember this. Zhuang Yuzhen struggled. Smack. Suddenly, a whip struck his face. He was momentarily stunned. Then the whip struck again. Smack. Smack. Is that all you have? If you dare, just kill me, you bitch. While Zhuang Yuzhen cursed, the black-robed woman whipped him continuously. After a while, she stopped whipping him and left. Zhuang Yuzhen's mouth was swollen. Jiang Hao felt that he couldn't go back to the lawless tower anymore. The words he had uttered were corpse heart. That had been his last resort. If he went to meet the prisoner again, he would have no bargaining chip left. The prisoner would suspect that Jiang Hao had no other information against him. The best option was to leave him in suspense for now. Zhuang Yuzhen had been astonished to learn that the Heavenly Note sect was a demonic sect. It was as though he thought he belonged to an immortal sect. The Divine Corpse sect wasn't an immortal sect in any shape or form. Clones were extremely important to them. Abiding by the rules of the immortal sect would hamper them greatly. If that were the case, then the Divine Corpse sect must be divided into two groups. One conservative and the other corrupt. I don't think that's possible. In the cultivation world, many people were murdered in their own sects by their own people, irrespective of whether they were from the demonic or immortal sect. The disciples of the Divine Corpse sect weren't very rigid about their rules. They even used any person, living or dead, as a divine corpse. However, if they left the ordinary cultivators alone and didn't tangle with other immortal sects, they could be considered part of the immortal sect. The reason why the Heavenly Note sect was considered a demonic sect was because they didn't care about ordinary cultivators. They weren't above harming ordinary people for their own gain. They killed and robbed them. They treated cultivators the same way too. Secondly, they would go to any length to become stronger or get what they wanted. They would refine tools, make talismans, create pills, and dupe others, especially if they were poor. The wealthy usually didn't indulge in petty crimes, but there were still cases of that happening. They even abducted ordinary non-cultivators every few years. That was how ordinary people ended up as workers in the spirit herb gardens. Back in his own courtyard, Jiang Hao began to study the Nameless Manual. Recently he had reached a bottleneck. He wanted to progress to a higher level as soon as possible. In the following months he needed to earn spirit stones and find out where Bai Yi was staying. He wanted to be prepared so that he could curse Bai Yi when the time came. It was unexpected that Bai Yi would challenge Manlong so soon. It was no wonder Jiang Hao hadn't suffered any attacks from Bai Yi recently. He was busy preparing for the fight with Manlong. Jiang Hao put down the Nameless Manual and finally felt that he had reached a new level of knowledge. His perception became even more sharp and he noticed subtle changes in the world around him. He could see things more clearly and sense the flow of spiritual energy. He could even feel his primordial spirit through his breath. The more he studied it, the more he understood how Hong Yuye could see through him so easily. It felt like he was stripped naked. When he realized this, he studied the manual even more. Suddenly he thought of a possibility. If I fully master the Nameless Manual, will I be able to conceal even the heavenly secrets? Suddenly he thought of a possibility. If I fully master the Nameless Manual, will I be able to conceal even the heavenly secrets? Currently he could perceive and conceal his aura, spirit, and magical abilities. He could only confirm it by learning everything in the Nameless Manual and testing it in front of Hong Yuye. Speaking of which, it's been half a month. How is it that the spirit beast and the others haven't returned yet? Without the spirit beast and the others, many things had to be put on hold, especially Chu Chuan's weekly test. He had no choice but to wait. At the White Moon Lake, Zhao Qingxue rushed in. She approached Zhou Chan. Senior Sister Zhou, can I ask you something? She said nervously. What is it? Zhou Chan said. Is there a rule in the sect that expels an outer sect disciple if they remain at the first stage of the lifeblood refinement realm for more than 3 years? There is such a rule, but very few people get expelled. There aren't many people who remain at the first stage for so long. None of the 12 branches had people that slow. Even if someone's talent was very poor, they still managed to advance to the second stage within 3 years. Lin Ji is still at the first stage. Zhou Chan was surprised. That's unlikely, but if he is still in the first stage, then maybe he isn't suitable for cultivation. Is there a way to help him stay in the sect? I don't know about that. I don't even know who oversees the matter, Zhou Chan said sadly. I'll ask Elder Qian Su. Don't worry. After a while, Zhou Chan and Zhao Qingxue arrived at the courtyard of Elder Qian Su. Still at the first stage of the lifeblood refinement realm after 3 years? Said Elder Qian Su in surprise. Wouldn't it be just plain torture on the disciple if he is allowed to stay when he isn't suitable for cultivation? Zhao Qingxue lowered her head sadly. Well, just inform the outer sect of the Cliff of Broken Hearts. We can let him stay for another year. If he fails to advance to the second stage after a year, then he will have to meet the Cliff Master of the Cliff of Broken Hearts. If the Master agrees to let him stay, the other branches will have no problem with it. Should I inform them to let him stay for another year then? Asked Zhou Chan. Elder Qian Su nodded. Remember to leave 1 or 2 spirit stones as a gift for doing so. I see. Thank you, Elder Qian Su. She bid him farewell and left with Zhao Qingxue. Elder Qian Su just shook his head and didn't think about it further. Thank you so much, Senior Sister Zhou, said Zhao Qingxue gratefully. That's all right. Don't worry. I'll talk to the people in the outer sect. It's almost August and there's still half a year left. Hopefully Lin Ji can do it this time, said Zhou Chan. If he fails to advance to the second stage for another year, I won't be able to help him anymore. The Cliff Master is the head of the Cliff of Broken Hearts. We can't even get an audience with him, let alone ask him for help. Zhao Qingxue nodded. Everything depended on Lin Ji after this. Chapter 244, How do you repay kindness with enmity? At the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Jiang Hao stayed indoors. Since his return from the Lawless Tower, he had been busy with his own affairs. During this time he tried to comprehend the 4th form of the Heavenly Blade, but he couldn't understand it. It seemed that his spiritual energy was not strong enough. He had no choice but to wait. Perhaps it would be different if he reached the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. The 7 forms of the Heavenly Blade were extremely powerful. The requirements for the new techniques were even more difficult. The 3 forms of the Heavenly Blade were barely enough for his needs, and he still hadn't mastered any spells. The Hongming Heart Sutra had even higher requirements. After mastering the universe in a palm technique, he needed to advance to another stage to learn another technique. For now he could only rely on his divine abilities. Another half a month had passed and it was already mid-August. Xiao Li and the others had been away for 2 months. Jiang Hao wondered why they hadn't returned yet. He wasn't worried about their safety, but he felt that Xiao Li might not want to come back to the sect after her parents passed away. After all, the house was her last reminder of her parents. If she left, it would be left empty. During this period he visited Chu Chuan twice and Lin Ji once. Chu Chuan was doing okay. He had made some more improvements since the last time. He had chosen to give up on certain things to focus on his cultivation. He wanted to reach the Foundation Establishment realm and join the Bright Moon sect. Jiang Hao had told him that even if he reached the Foundation Establishment realm, he still wouldn't be able to compete with Chu Jia. Chuan wasn't concerned. After he reached the Foundation Establishment realm, Chu Jia wouldn't worry too much about him. He wanted to reassure her that he was fine. However, he was still undecided about whether he wanted to be a disciple of a demonic sect. Jiang Hao didn't say much on the matter. That was Chu Chuan's choice, so Jiang Hao didn't want to interfere. Compared to Chu Chuan, Lin Ji was far behind. He was truly as the beast had described, always getting beaten. He had already reached the 3rd stage of the Star-Moon Lifeblood refining realm and absorbed the power of the sun, moon, and stars at a faster rate. However, due to the influence of the star and moon pearl, he couldn't advance to the Foundation Establishment realm. He might stay in the Lifeblood refinement realm for many years yet. It was difficult for Lin Ji. Jiang Hao asked him if he still wanted to stay in a demonic sect. Lin Ji's answer was always affirmative. Jiang Hao gave him some guidance in his cultivation and let him be. He would eventually have a bright future if he endured. Jiang Hao didn't tell Lin Ji about it. Instead, he sent the beast to keep encouraging him. The beast was looking over his progress after all. It wasn't easy to endure something like that. To remain in the lifeblood refinement realm for 5 or 10 years without losing hope was an ordeal. In the spirit herb garden, Jiang Hao found some bubbles. There were quite a few white and green bubbles, but unfortunately, there wasn't a single blue one. Jiang Hao saw a young girl running toward him in a panic. "Senior, something has happened." The girl, around 16 or 17 years old, seemed relatively new here. Jiang Hao couldn't remember seeing her in the garden before. "What happened?" he asked calmly. "A spirit herb is withering," said the girl, and she pointed in a direction. "Over there." Jiang Hao frowned and quickly went to investigate. At the spirit field, a young boy looked at him fearfully. He was kneeling on the ground. "I didn't do anything. It was like this when I reached here." "It's fine. Step aside," Jiang Hao said. If it was the boy's fault, he would be punished. If not, there was no need to make things difficult for him. The boy was surprised to see Jiang Hao so calm. He thought he would be punished. He had transferred from another spirit herb garden recently. He had witnessed one of his fellow villagers being beaten to death. Jiang Hao observed the spirit herb in front of him. It was an antidote and it was currently wilting. After a while, he confirmed that it was affected by an external aura. He checked the soil and found something strange. Jiang Hao looked around and saw the corpse realm flower nearby. The spirit herb was affected by the corpse realm flower. "You two go about your business and don't come near here for now," Jiang Hao said to the young boy and girl. The young boy couldn't believe it. He wasn't even scolded or interrogated. Using his spiritual energy, Jiang Hao drew a line on the ground to isolate the aura from spreading through the soil. That would prevent the corpse realm flower from affecting that part of the spirit field for a while. He approached the corpse realm flower and appraised it. Jiang Hao looked at the slightly darkened leaves. He felt helpless. "So, it needs to be transplanted to a place without other plants, a barren land." Jiang Hao observed the spirit herb garden and found no such place. Perhaps it needed to be planted outside the garden. He couldn't make a decision on his own. He needed to find a senior or ask the cliff master. The other spirit herb gardens might be having similar issues. "Perhaps I can take this opportunity to enter the 100 Bones forest." Jiang Hao didn't intend to help others transplant the corpse realm flower. Instead, he wanted to go to the law enforcement hall and see if there were any tasks related to the 100 Bones forest. He wanted to find Bai Yi and obtain something related to him. He needed to lay the foundation for the curse. He went to find his master. Transplant it to a safer place? Ku Wuchang thought about it. Why not transplant it outside Miao Tinglian's residence for now? She doesn't have any missions and she knows about spirit herbs. She can keep an eye on it. As for how to transplant it, you can figure it out on your own. Jiang Hao was the one who was able to grow the corpse realm flower, so it was okay to trust him. "All right. I'll find senior sister Miao Tinglian then," said Jiang Hao. In the courtyard, there were 2 true disciples who seemed to be teaching some techniques. Jiang Hao had never studied here before, and his master had only taught him once. That was the difference between inner sect disciples and true disciples. "Junior brother Jiang, I thought I treated you well. Why do you want to harm me?" Miao Tinglian expressed her dissatisfaction. Muqi was also curious. "Tinglian's residence doesn't have a barren area, but mine does." Jiang Hao kept his head down and didn't say anything. Many people in the sect were aware of the relationship between senior brother Muqi and senior sister Miao Tinglian. The cliff master also assumed that senior sister Miao Tinglian lived with senior brother Muqi. These two were probably the only ones in the sect who treated him well, and he had no intention of making things difficult for them, but the cliff master had given his instructions. "How do we transplant it anyway?" asked Miao Tinglian. "I observed the corpse realm flower. It withers very easily." "Beast blood," Jiang Hao said. "If beast blood is used to nourish it while transplanting, it won't wither." "Really?" Miao Tinglian was surprised. "I've never heard of that before." Chapter 245. Are you interested in a 20-year-old junior? It really works. That afternoon, Miao Tinglian proceeded with the transplantation. Without beast blood, there were signs of withering, but with the use of beast blood, it could be transplanted successfully. "This is the first time I've seen this kind of spirit herb." At this moment, they were in a mountain pit. which was where Wuxia often experimented with his techniques. It was barren and close by. At the same time, it was secluded enough that their residence couldn't be seen. "Now that everything is settled, I won't disturb you any longer, seniors," said Jiang Hao politely. He turned to leave. "Wait." Miao Tinglian pointed to the corpse realm flower. "Other spirit herb. Gardens will definitely face the same problem. They will come and ask about." Jiang? Jiang Hao didn't hesitate. "Now that you are the guardian of the corpse realm flower, they will definitely come to ask you, senior sister Miao. The information is yours to share. If you are willing, you can tell them. If not, it's up to you." He didn't intend to get involved in such matters. It would be better if he didn't attract other people's attention. Apart from Bai Yi, if he kept his head down, he wouldn't encounter any more problems. The Foundation Establishment realm disciples were easy to handle. Only true disciples like Bai Yi were difficult to get along with. Dealing with more aggressive disciples was very challenging. Taking action would expose him. However, if he didn't take action, the perpetrator would keep becoming unreasonable. Jiang Hao had disciples in the sect, but no one had found evidence against him. However, they might use the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror if it happened again. Once discovered, he would be sent to the lawless tower. People would get very suspicious if they discovered his cultivation realm. With exceptional talent, the blessings of the heavens and earth, the inheritance of great power, and the guidance of a knowledgeable mentor, Han Ming, at 23 years old, was only in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. As a demonic sect, would the Heavenly Note sect be willing to nurture Jiang Hao if they thought he was talented? Jiang Hao was not naive. He didn't want to entrust his life and death to others. Some might take the risk and reveal themselves, but Jiang Hao was always cautious. It was one of the reasons Jiang Hao tried hard to escape the clutches of Hong Yuya. He wanted to be in control of his own life. For that, he needed to get stronger. Hiding his abilities was the best step for now. "In that case, I will make the decision myself," Miao Tinglian said. Jiang Hao nodded and prepared to leave. "Oh, there's one more thing." Miao Tinglian smiled as she looked at Jiang Hao's puzzled face. "A junior has recently arrived at the Cliff of Broken Hearts. She is 20 years old and in the early stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Are you interested? You're 24. You two would make a good match. I've seen her. She's very beautiful." Jiang Hao was speechless. Even Wuxia was momentarily stunned. He pulled him away. "Junior brother Jiang, you can go about your own business now. Please ignore her words. Don't mind her." Jiang Hao nodded and bid them farewell. Miao Tinglian was relentless when it came to setting him up with someone. A 20-year-old in the early stage of the Foundation Establishment realm was indeed impressive. However, how could she be interested in someone like Jiang Hao who relied on opportunities to accumulate his cultivation? Jiang Hao had no intention of finding a partner. In the following 7 days, Jiang Hao noticed that Du Yong was looking for him more often. He visited again today. "Senior brother Jiang, have you been staying in the inner sect lately?" "Yeah. I've been busy with some matters." The spirit herbs in the spirit herb garden were still recovering. He needed to keep an eye on them. The other gardens had attempted to transplant the corpse realm flower, but they had failed. Upon learning that the Cliff of Broken Hearts had successfully transplanted it, they headed to Miao Tinglian's residence to ask her about it. "I recently obtained a secret technique for cultivating the soil, but I'm not sure if it works," said Du Yong. "I wanted to ask for your help, senior brother Jiang." "A secret technique?" Jiang Hao pretended to be confused. In his heart, he was glad that Du Yong was finally taking action. "Yes. It's something that can't be easily explained. I want you to come to my place and take a look. When will you have some free time, senior brother Jiang?" Du Yong asked. It was unexpected for Jiang Hao to be invited to other people's houses. Based on his understanding of the 9 extremes corpse dissolution technique, Chu Zhong, the current Du Yong, should have reached the primordial spirit realm. The danger was high. Jiang Hao couldn't get involved without knowing everything. He used the daily appraisal on Du Yong. Severed a part of his primordial soul? Jiang Hao was surprised. Why would he go to such lengths to deal with someone in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm? He couldn't understand why the enemy was so cautious. As for the heart, it must refer to the corpse heart. Jiang Hao wondered what had startled the enemy. Giving autonomy to the clone? Does that mean the main body and the clone can't share memories? Some avatars needed to be controlled by the original body, and the original body could use the clone's senses to observe the surroundings. But granting autonomy to the clone would make it more difficult for the original body to immo about the clone's surroundings. Senior brother Jiang, when will you be available? Jiang Hao decided to give it a go. If he obtained the corpse heart, he could control Zhuang Yuzhen, and there would be a chance of finding out who Dan Yuan actually was. He just wasn't sure how strong the other clones of Chu Zhong were. If they were in the late or peak stage of the primordial spirit realm, he would use the rings to escape. Any time is convenient for me. It depends on you, senior brother Jiang. Du Yong smiled. Let's do it tomorrow afternoon. I should be done with my work by then, Jiang Hao said. Tomorrow he could use the daily appraisal to check on the situation of the other clones. Okay. I'll come find you tomorrow. Du Yong nodded with a smile. He then turned and left. The next day, Jiang Hao used the Heaven Secret's hidden talisman and followed Du Yong to his house. It's in the courtyard. Du Yong led the way. Jiang Hao nodded and looked at the courtyard ahead. There were faint glimmers coming from the courtyard. It was a formation. As he arrived in the courtyard, he noticed that there was indeed dirt on the ground, as if Du Yong had been experimenting with the soil. But before he could take a closer look, he felt the formation activate. Wait a moment, senior brother Jiang. Let me perform the technique for you to see, then you'll understand, Du Yong said. Jiang Hao observed him without interrupting, but he remained vigilant. He was on guard against any sudden movements. He had also prepared the 1,000 miles teleportation talisman just in case. Chapter 246. Not even a single penny. Jiang Hao suddenly thought of something while watching Du Yong perform his technique. If I lure a disciple out of the sect and kill them, will the law enforcement hall still investigate the matter? I should ask Lu Xingchen about it. At this moment, the surrounding formation activated, and Jiang Hao felt a familiar sensation. He was being teleported. If Du Yong had attacked while he was experiencing the fuzzy feeling, he would have succeeded. However, Jiang Hao endured the dizziness and stepped forward. Sure enough, he felt an attack coming from behind. It was an attack on the level of the primordial spirit realm. Boom. The 9 heavens battle armor protected him by blocking the impact from behind. Using his momentum, Jiang Hao leaped to the edge of the mountain peak. He turned around and looked back. There was a woman near Du Yong who was still dizzy from teleportation. She was in a blue dress with a white belt tied around her waist. Her black hair was tied up in a simple bun. Her skin was unusually pale. Her delicate face showed surprise. Jiang Hao was also somewhat surprised that the clone was a woman. Her cultivation was at the middle stage of the primordial spirit realm, just like his own. In that case, Chu Zhong's original body should be at the late or peak stage of the primordial spirit realm. Jiang Hao could see 2 peaks side by side. That was Twin Cloud Peak. He wasn't very far from the Heavenly Note sect. They were currently on top of one of the peaks. So, you managed to evade me? And you have a treasure that is in the primordial spirit realm. It seems like we have a problem. The woman in blue spoke with a crisp and pleasant voice. May I ask who you are? Jiang Hao asked. At this point, he activated the daily appraisal. Enchantment? Jiang Hao always got a headache when it came to enchantments. He hadn't studied enchantments after being discovered reading a book on them by Hong Yuya. Now, he couldn't be sure whether the enchantment was working on him or not. A divine corpse with autonomy. Jiang Hao didn't need to worry about revealing his secret since this clone didn't share memories with Chu Zhong. I'm Lu Yun. Lu Yun pushed Du Yong aside. Du Yong had already lost his divine sense, and his consciousness had transferred to Lu Yun. Lu, you aren't an ordinary human, are you? Asked Jiang Hao. Am I not beautiful enough for you? Lu Yun asked as she took a step forward. Not really. Jiang Hao shook his head. Why don't you have any thoughts when you look at me? Lu Yun was already closer to him. If she took a step further, she could prevent Jiang Hao from jumping off the cliff and escaping. Because I already know the 2 words I need to know about, Jiang Hao said with a smile. What are they? Lu Yun asked. Jiang Hao smiled. Chu Zhong. As soon as Jiang Hao said the name, Lu Yun froze. She looked astonished. What did you say? Your name? Said Jiang Hao. You? Lu Yun looked shocked. Jiang Hao made his move. The half-moon blade emerged from its sheath and shone brightly. He used the first form of the heavenly blade, moon-slaying. Lu Yun also made her move. Ice spikes appeared under her feet as she attacked Jiang Hao. Both of them launched their attacks. Whoosh! They both dodged each other's attacks. Jiang Hao leaped up and slashed with the half-moon blade once again. Purple energy surged around the half-moon blade. Jiang Hao then used the second form of the heavenly blade, mountain suppression. The immense pressure suppressed everything around it. He had used the mountain suppression technique that was stored in his wrist guard. Ice began to form around Lu Yun. It surrounded her and then shot forward to attack. Boom. Crack. The immense pressure of mountain suppression shattered the ice. Boom. The blade cut through everything and slashed at Lu Yun, severely injuring her with a single strike. Gritting her teeth, Lu Yun once again performed her technique. At this moment, moonlight reflected in her eyes. Her arm flew into the sky. Purple energy appeared before her once again. A silver blade pierced through her body. It shattered the spiritual energy she had gathered. Lu Yun, with only one arm intact, looked at the man who suddenly appeared before her. His hand was around the hilt of the saber, which was buried in her chest. It took all of her spiritual energy away. "My name is Lu Yun, not Chu Zhong," she said with difficulty. Jiang Hao was stunned. At this moment, Lu Yun's power turned violent. Jiang Hao drew his blade and slashed at her without hesitation. The blade stabbed repeatedly through Lu Yun's body. She flew backward and crashed into a rock. Lu Yun fell to the ground with no life left in her. Lu Yun. Jiang Hao thought it was Chu Zhong controlling Lu Yun. He had no idea that Lu Yun was her own self. He had no way of knowing the truth. She was already dead. He wanted to ask her about the corpse heart and Zhuang Yuzhen. However, he had found no window for a conversation. Jiang Hao picked up her storage treasure and went through it. Not even a single spirit stone. Then he picked up Du Yong's storage treasure. It was empty as well. Chu Zhong was stingy. He slashed at the corpse 2 more times to make sure it was dead. Jiang Hao started a fire to burn the corpse. After the fire went out, he also left the place. He didn't rush back. He arrived at one of the peaks and placed the box on the ground. Then he backed away a little and opened the box. In an instant, a powerful aura extended from the box. Jiang Hao was vigilant. He unsheathed the half-moon blade. Soon, a bright red heart appeared in his sight. Although it had no body, it was still beating ceaselessly. Thump, thump, thump. The beats were unusually loud. It pulsated with life. After observing for a moment, Jiang Hao used the universe in a palm technique to encase the heart in a purple sphere. It floated on his palm. The heartbeat stopped and the aura dissipated. I wonder if this sealing method can prevent it from absorbing the aura of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. After storing the heart in a small sphere, Jiang Hao destroyed the box. The box had a peculiar aura, and he was concerned about it being traced back to him. He didn't want to keep it. He then used the golden ring to teleport to his courtyard directly. Jiang Hao then headed to the spirit herb garden. He needed an alibi. If Du Yong's death was investigated, the law enforcement hall might come after him. He needed the people in the spirit herb garden to see him there so that they could vouch for him. He also needed to be cautious about the corpse heart. He didn't want any trouble. Chapter 247, Caught by the Demoness Again. At the Candlelight Pill Pavilion, inside the alchemy room close to the earth. Fire, Lian Daoji paced helplessly. He was attempting to break through to the primordial spirit realm, and it was harder than he had expected. He had failed again. However, he was absolutely confident that success was only a matter of time. Moreover, he had already found the right pills. He only lacked the final spirit herb. That spirit herb wasn't impossible to find. It was just a bit rare. At this moment, a Foundation Establishment Realm disciple, who had been waiting for a long time, came up to him nervously. "Senior brother, the bitter fruit has been intercepted." The bitter fruit, as its name suggested, had a very bitter taste. However, it could balance other flavors and adjust spiritual energy appropriately. There were many spirit herbs for adjusting spiritual energy, but among them, the bitter fruit had a relatively low side effect. Intercepted. Lian Daoji's face darkened. There were 5 of you at the late stage of Foundation Establishment Realm and 2 at the peak of Foundation Establishment Realm. You couldn't keep a fruit safe. Lian Daoji wouldn't have used this fruit if he wasn't refining a relatively obscure pill. The bitter fruit was of low value. However, some alchemical solutions required such things. Otherwise, why would they go to such lengths? It was a cunning enemy that suddenly appeared out of nowhere, said the disciple in the Foundation Establishment Realm. They tricked us. It's not far from here and Azure Mountain doesn't have the guts to come here. Does that mean, is it someone from the sect? Lian Daoji asked. He needed to get the fruit. He still had 10 days to use it. The assailant was a beast in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm. Its movements were unpredictable. We couldn't find it at all. We couldn't keep up with its speed, said the nervous disciple. But it was wearing a collar. It must belong to one of the seniors in the sect. A beast in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, and wears a collar, muttered Lian Daoji as he stared at his junior. Does it call itself Lord Beast? Yes. It said something about having powerful friends. Lian Daoji sighed. Tell me in detail what actually happened. The group had sealed off the area and waited for the bitter fruit to ripen, but the beast had somehow entered the formation and plucked the fruit right in front of everyone. They chased after it but were tricked. In the end it got away. You are useless, said Lian Daoji. The junior disciple lowered his head and remained quiet. Lian Daoji knew only one person who owned a beast like that. Jiang Hao from the Cliff of Broken Hearts. The matter wasn't easy to handle. Lian Daoji would have used threats and intimidation if it were any other disciple in the Foundation establishment realm. However, Jiang Hao was different. Apart from their cooperation in planting spirit herbs, Jiang Hao had several merits to his name. His latest achievement was when he had been able to complete the sect's mission by growing the corpse realm flower. If he was discovered, the Cliff of Broken Hearts might take action. After all, this achievement had brought many benefits to Cliff of Broken Hearts. If the person who had contributed to such benefits was harassed, the branch might protest. That was partly the reason Lian Daoji was hesitant to act. Next was the Hall of Merits. With such achievements, Jiang Hao was probably mentioned there. Lian Daoji couldn't go against that. If he did, the Hall of Merits might demand spirit stones for the damage caused. It seems I have to make a small trip. The next day Jiang Hao appraised the corpse heart. It seems like there is no problem for now. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. He would continue sealing it layer by layer each day. After sealing the corpse heart, he began sealing the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. After completing these tasks, he looked around to make sure that no one was watching. Then he took out the book on enchantments. He intended to read through the contents once again. He sat under the peach tree, enjoying the cool summer breeze while flipping through the book. After a while, he heard a soft laughter in front of him. It seems you're very interested in enchantments. Jiang Hao instinctively closed the book and looked up. He only saw empty air in front of him. Slowly, a red figure materialized. She sat on a wooden chair and gazed at Jiang Hao. This was the first time Jiang Hao had seen Hong Yuye appear. Senior? What cultivation realm are you in? Hong Yuye reached out and picked up the book on the table. Middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm, Jiang Hao said. How old are you? Hong Yuye asked. 24, Jiang Hao said. Middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm at 24? That's a bit slow, Hong Yuye said as she casually flipped through the book. I don't have very high talent at cultivation. Hong Yuye chuckled. I gave you a ladder and you actually climbed up. Jiang Hao lowered his head and remained silent. How is your undercover mission going? Hong Yuye's gaze remained on the book. I have established a foothold in the gathering and will soon be able to find out why the Great Thousand God sect sent people to the Hidden Cloud Prefecture. The person who tried to snatch the heavenly fragrance Dao flower could also reveal some information, Jiang Hao said. This was the progress he had made in the past 2 years. Although he was far from finding out who exactly was behind the stone tablets, he was still a step ahead. Hong Yuye stopped flipping through the book and looked at Jiang Hao. She was a little unaccustomed to him being truthful. Have you discovered anything else? She asked. In the gathering, Xing is likely someone of authority. I suspect he is from the Bright Moon sect. He said he could obtain the secret technique of the Clear Sky School called the Freeform Technique. He already has the Bright Moon sect's technique, Myriad Bodies. Jiang Hao envied it a little. He didn't plan to cultivate it himself, but having a clone to do things was convenient, like Chu Zhong. Although he had lost 2 clones and the corpse heart, his main body had escaped unscathed. No one could find him even if they tried. From the beginning he had planned to retreat once the plan started. It seems you are fully focused on this. Hong Yuye stared at him. Senior, when doing tasks for you, I don't hold back on my efforts. It wasn't like he had a choice. He was constantly worried about Gui finding out about his identity, or that he might face Chu Zhong's other clone. Every day he delayed was a day wasted. Hong Yuya smiled faintly, lowered her head and continued reading the book. Make some tea. Hong Yuya hadn't visited for a long time, so there was still plenty of tea left. He didn't need to spend spirit stones to replenish it anytime soon. Tell me about your experience at the gathering, Hong Yuya said. Jiang Hao prepared the tea and sat down at the table. He poured a cup for her and for himself. Then he began to recount the events of the gathering. He didn't hide anything. When he told her about Lu looking for the Clear Sky School's free-form technique and the Bright Moon Sect's myriad bodies, she shook her head. The myriad bodies and free-form technique are just superficial methods. Are there other techniques? Jiang Hao asked curiously. Well, the technique would be the myriad bodies, but that isn't used for recultivation. It is used in line with another secret technique, Hong Yuya said. What secret technique? Jiang Hao asked. The shifting star technique. Chapter 248. Is he going to make a move against me tonight? The shifting star technique. This was the first time Jiang Hao had heard of something like that. It seemed to be associated with the Bright Moon sect. However, Hong Yuya obviously had no intention of continuing the conversation. She simply drank her tea and flipped through her book again. Jiang Hao continued with his report. He talked about the Corpse Realm Flower and the purpose of the Great Thousand God sect in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture. He then told her about Gui and her mission. Hong Yuya looked at him. Is there something wrong, Senior? Jiang Hao asked. Last time, were you in that village to visit your junior's family, or were you there for that dragon? She asked. It was both, Jiang Hao said truthfully. Everything is under control. He hadn't planned to attack the dragon. He just happened to find it there by the river. Most things he had achieved till now were because of luck. Hong Yuya smiled. Go on. After that, Jiang Hao talked about the discovery of the Misfortune Pearl. Will it really be devastating if the Misfortune Pearl appears somewhere? Doesn't matter. The moment you touch it, you'll die, said Hong Yuya. When it begins releasing its power, it'll be like a raging flood. Your meager power will not be enough to seal it again. Jiang Hao was deep in thought. The thing had its pros and cons. The advantage was that he could use it to threaten someone. However, if he used it, he would suffer too. Is it possible for it to be unsealed BV resonance? Liana Hao asked. Hong Yuya chuckled softly. You weren't worried about this when you brought it out of that ruin. Since you weren't worried then, you don't need to worry now. Because you can't take it back anyway. Without the Misfortune Pearl, the whispers around it will subside. Just continue sealing it. Maybe you will be surprised. Surprised? Jiang Hao was puzzled. Hong Yuya didn't continue. She seemed to have lost interest. She didn't ask anything else. She quietly drank her tea and flipped through the book. After a while she put the book away. She got up and approached the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. The 6th leaf was about to grow. She gently touched it. How do you usually take care of it? She asked. I just use a bowl of water to water it every day. Did you water it today? Hong Yuya asked. Not yet. Jiang Hao shook his head. Hong Yuya had arrived too early. He usually watered it before he left for the spirit herb garden. Go fetch a bowl of water then, Hong Yuya said softly. After a while, Jiang Hao handed her a bowl of water. Hong Yuya watered the flower and gave the bowl back to him. Then she began to fade away. Remember, your first responsibility is to take care of my flower, she said as her voice dissipated. She was gone. Jiang Hao put the bowl aside. He wasn't surprised. He wondered if Hong Yuya had put his book back on the table. Jiang Hao tidied up the teapot and left the courtyard. He headed to the law enforcement hall. He wanted to see if there were any tasks related to the 100 Bones Forest. However, he didn't find any suitable tasks. Most of the people in the 100 Bone Forest were looking for sparring partners, and the ones who accepted the tasks were mostly from the flowing waterfall. Both sides were experts in body techniques. He arrived in front of the sect's mission board. It had been several years since he had taken on a mission. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before one was assigned to him. Looking at it, he found that this time the sect's mission was about cultivating spirit herbs. The location was at the border between the 100 Bones Forest and the Candlelight Pill Pavilion. Spirit Mountain? It seemed to be an area with wild spirit herbs. Perhaps he could find something there. After all, Bai was also well versed when it came to spirit herbs. Jiang Hao quickly looked at the list. Han Ming from the Cliff of Broken Hearts was assigned to the task. Junior brother Han. I can go and ask him to switch missions with me. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but with his accomplishments and reputation in the law enforcement hall, it should be possible. He could always offer spirit stones. After selling some talismans, Jiang Hao returned to the spirit herb garden. Just as he entered, he saw a man waiting for him. It was Lien Daoji from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion. Why is he here? Jiang Hao wondered. But most likely he had a cultivation task. Maybe he had more spirit herbs he wanted Jiang Hao to grow. Junior brother Jiang. Lien Daoji smiled when he saw Jiang Hao. Do you have spirit herbs you want to grow again? Asked Jiang Hao. No. I actually came to see you because of a personal matter, he said. I wonder if you are free right now. Of course, Jiang Hao said. Lien Daoji was at the peak of the Golden Core realm, so it was only out of politeness that he asked a junior if he had time. It wasn't like Jiang Hao could refuse even if he was busy. That would imply that Jiang Hao was deliberately provoking Lien Daoji. He didn't want any trouble. The two of them sat in one of the pavilions inside the garden. I remember that you had a spirit beast as a pet, junior brother Jiang. I haven't seen it recently. Is it all right? Asked Lien Daoji. Did it cause trouble? Jiang Hao wondered. It's not in the sect. It went out for a few days. I see. Lien Daoji wasn't surprised. I tasked some juniors with guarding a spirit herb called bitter fruit. It was meant to be harvested after ripening, but a spirit beast took it away. It's not surprising for wild spirit herbs to be claimed by spirit beasts. However, the juniors told me that the beast was wearing a collar, so I assumed it might be yours. Anyhow, I was wondering if you could sell the bitter fruit back to me. The market price is 30 spirit stones, but I am willing to pay 35. I'm in urgent need of it, so I'll buy as many as you have. Jiang Hao got up and apologized to Lien Daoji. I'm very sorry, senior brother Lien. If this is my beast's doing, I'll naturally return the herb to you. It was yours to begin with. The spirit beast is mischievous. Please don't mind it. I hope you can overlook this mistake on my part, senior brother Lien. The beast was obviously causing trouble the moment it got out of the sect. In addition, it had to mess with a senior in the sect. It had been caught red-handed. The fact that Lien Daoji spoke to him so politely meant that he was wary about something. Otherwise, why would someone at the peak of the Golden Core realm be so polite with someone supposedly at the Foundation Establishment realm? He had even visited Jiang Hao in person. No, junior brother Jiang, that's quite all right. Lien Daoji also stood up. Indeed, we were not as skilled as the beast and it claimed the fruit anyway. I came here to buy them from you fair and square. I have no other intention. Lien Daoji was too polite. Jiang Hao wondered if he was planning to make a move against him tonight. Jiang Hao politely refused. After several attempts, Lien Daoji finally offered to purchase the fruit at half the market price. He wouldn't listen at all, so Jiang Hao relented. Then I'll get going. I won't disturb you any longer, junior brother Jiang. Senior brother Lien, rest assured, once the beast gets back, I'll personally deliver the spirit herbs to you. After that, Lien Daoji turned and left. He is quite sensible and easy to get along with. The price difference between 35 and 15 was insignificant to him. The main thing was to keep the other person happy. There was no doubt that the transaction had been quite pleasant. Chapter 249, Taking Your Surname. On the same afternoon, Ching Chou and the others returned. Master, I'm back. I brought you some gifts. The beast hopped in front of Jiang Hao and handed him some fruits. Master, have one. Jiang Hao picked one up and took a bite. It was surprisingly bitter. 15 spirit stones were gone just like that. Xiaoli lowered her head and approached Jiang Hao. She handed him a bag of pastries. These were left by my mother. I didn't eat them. Why? Jiang Hao asked as he took the pastries. Xiaoli fidgeted with the hem of her shirt. She used to say that if I gave them all to you, she would make me more next time. She is not there anymore to make more. I see. Jiang Hao accepted them. Thank you. This one is from father. Xiaoli handed Jiang Hao a bamboo shoot. Can I plant it somewhere? I'll help you plant it. Jiang Hao remembered the bamboo shoot he had helped Xiaoli's father dig up in the mountain. His courtyard had plenty of things and one more bamboo shoot wouldn't make a difference. Also, Xiaoli hesitated for a moment. Mother said that you were my family if anything happened to her. She told me that if they died I should take your surname. Senior brother Jiang, please call me Jiang Shaoli from now on. Jiang Hao was surprised, but he nodded. If that is okay with you, I don't mind either. Really? Shaoli was surprised. So, are you my elder brother from now on? Jiang Hao was speechless, but he nodded. After the beast and Shaoli left, Jiang Hao turned to Ching Chou. Tell me about your journey. This time, Ching Chou looked a little disheveled, but he wasn't injured. After you left, the spirit beast suddenly appeared. With the help of the villagers, the funeral went smoothly. However, junior sister Shaoli seemed to be in denial for a few days. She kept saying that her parents would wake up. Nobody knew what to tell her. Without the spirit beast, I didn't know what I would have done either. After the burial, junior sister Shaoli stayed inside the house and refused to come out. She didn't talk to anyone. She was completely different from before. She didn't smile or jump around. Fortunately, the spirit beast comforted her through her grief. She tearfully gave away the chickens and ducks that her parents had raised. She also gave away the fishing nets and boats. She couldn't bring herself to give away the farming tools. She kept saying that if her parents somehow came back, they would feel sad to see their tools gone. Ching Chou sighed. After that, we cleaned the house, washed the bedding and closed the door behind us. Every few steps, junior sister Shaoli kept looking back as though she expected to see her parents waving at her. Jiang Hao listened quietly while eating the red bean cake. And then? Jiang Hao asked. The journey was relatively smooth. Just as we were about to arrive, the beast went to pick some fruits to make Shaoli happy. When it came back, I realized that it had caused trouble with someone. Fortunately, no one followed us. The fruits were too bitter, so Shaoli didn't eat them. So, they are just leftovers. I really thought the beast had brought it for me. Jiang Hao understood the situation. The spirit beast wasn't reckless or stupid. It was just that those who had seen it happened to recognize it. He headed to the Candlelight Pill Pavilion and handed the fruits to Lian Daoji and apologized. Lian Daoji gave him 200 spirit stones in return. Jiang Hao used that to buy some foundation establishment pills and handed them to Ching Chou. He had thought of splitting the 200 spirit stones into 3 equal portions and distributing them to Shaoli, Ching Chou, and the beast. However, the beast and Shaoli didn't need spirit stones. Ching Chou had done well over the past few years, so Jiang Hao bought him some pills. Ching Chou was overjoyed. He only received 20 spirit stones per month. It would have taken him a year to save enough spirit stones to buy pills. After that, Jiang Hao went to meet Han Ming and explained his intentions. Han Ming was overjoyed to switch places with Jiang Hao. He didn't like working with spirit herbs. He would rather venture out on an adventure any day than stay back and farm. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't refuse the mission assigned to him, he would have gone out long ago. Jiang Hao then went through the necessary procedures to switch places with Han Ming. Everything went smoothly. Late that night, Jiang Hao successfully accepted the sect's mission. They would depart for the mission next month. In Heavenly South Prefecture, Bai Zhu sat in the hall, waiting for further news. She had learned from Jing that the dragon was in the Wuxia River. However, after observing for a while, she hadn't found anything remarkable about the Wuxia River. There was no reason for the dragon to venture there. She was about to reach the exact location. She wouldn't be delayed for more than a few days. I still don't believe that he's so capable and can complete missions ahead of me. Bai Zhu wanted to see for herself. She waited anxiously. After a moment, a crane's cry was heard. She smiled. It's finally here. She walked out to see an immortal crane landing in the courtyard. As she approached, the crane flapped its wings and a sheepskin scroll fell to the ground. Bai Zhu picked up the scroll, threw a bottle on the ground and went into the house. The crane looked at the bottle on the ground. It obediently picked it up and turned to leave. As it left, it angrily cried out toward the house. Boom. A thunderbolt struck the crane, burning off half of its feathers. If it weren't for your master's sake, you would be tonight's dinner, said Bai Zhu from inside the house. The crane let out a mournful cry and quickly fled. Bai Zhu sat at the table and opened the sheepskin scroll. Inside was a map of Hidden Cloud Prefecture. A red circle marked a location on the map with the words, the exact location of the dragon. The circle indeed enclosed a river. It marked the upper reaches of the Wuxia River. Bai Zhu was surprised. Jing was right. After hesitating for a moment, she decided to set off immediately to see if she could find what she was looking for. If the dragon was indeed there, then Jing wasn't as simple as he made himself out to be. Back at his lodging, Jiang Hao took out the stone tablet and observed it for a while. He found that Gui had finally found the location. Watching them chat, Jiang Hao wanted to tell them that there was indeed a better way, but he couldn't do it. Not yet anyway. Maybe next time. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.